My name is Maulissa Braverman, and Troy Wells is also on the Zoom call with us. And we had about a month ago, we had a very enlightening Zoom call about cybersecurity and some of the things that we don't necessarily think about, especially for the surge of home offices. Because as we know with COVID, a lot of the business people are conducting their business through home offices, and that's actually the new target, if you will, for hackers. So what we're going to do is recap a little bit of that information because it's still very relevant, and we're actually going to talk more about online shopping because 'tis the season, right? Especially now with less people going to the stores and more people shopping online, there are a lot more vulnerabilities that we really need to be mindful of. So holiday hacking, protect your privacy. This is a bit of a recap from the last time that we did this. And, how do hackers actually steal personal information? And some of the top ways that they do this is installing spyware, especially through email. A lot of us already know some of the typical, email hacking scams out there, but there are some that are very sophisticated, especially if they know your bank name or they just take a shot and say Chase, right? Because there's so many Chase holders out there. Banking account out there. And a lot of people sometimes fall for those things. They click on those things and, try to retype a password or something. And then your information becomes, vulnerable. Clicking on images or links or something that may come through your website, in fact, and you think, okay, this is a legitimate thing, and you click on it, and then suddenly, you have a request for Bitcoin in order to let your information go. So these are all kinds of ways that people can actually steal your information. Instant messaging and pop-up, there's a lot of computer systems that block those things now, but those are still ways that you can be vulnerable. So what type of information are these hackers looking for? Well, they're certainly looking for account information for financial institution, passwords, sensitive information, all these things that we try to protect are things that are at the top of the list as far as things that people are looking for to be able to steal that information. So how is your information already being compromised? And the last time we did this, I actually had screenshots of your user agreement from your internet provider. And I chose just the top two, like Spectrum and I think it was CenturyLink. And inside of their user agreements, it states that they can track your information from your address to your to any of your information that you're already putting out there in order to create a user profile for your internet service, your date of birth, your name, your address, all of that type of information. So your internet provider is kind of the source of where your information is being compromised, right? So I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced this when you're going, let's say you're going to do some online shopping and you go to a website and they say, we have tracking cookies here. You have to accept it in order to continue to navigate through the website. So, okay, you hit accept in order to be able to move forward through the website. Well, then the cookies are then deposited into your IP address. And now all of that information is being stored and your information is being, a profile is being created of your behavior, your buying habit, your searching habits. That information is then taken and sold to advertisers for targeted ads, because sometimes we think, oh, I was just thinking about, or I was just looking for a flight or a certain type of, vegetable or whatever it is. And suddenly those ads start to show up on your Facebook page, your timeline, your email, all of these different types of things. Well, this is how it happens, is because your internet provider is giving access to your browsing history to make your information new targeting. So then how does this actually translate to hackers using this information? Because certainly our privacy is gone. Now, what about the actual dangers of it? And I will actually turn this over to Mr. Wells because he is the actual expert of all of these things, anything to do with compromising and setting up in networks and all that good stuff. So Mr. Wells, if you will please take it from here.
I don't know about that expert part, but thank you for the compliment anyway. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to go by real briefly to reiterate some of the things that we covered in the last meeting and to talk about security as far as your computer is concerned. A lot of people do not believe that their security has been compromised, and they don't believe that, you know, they have a Norton or they have some kind of protection on them. That's all they need to keep their information from being used for marketing and nefarious purposes. So I kind of had permission from a customer to utilize their computer as an example of some of the things that that you can check to see if your computer has been compromised at home and what you possibly can do to secure it in the future. Just the small things you can do to secure it to keep yourself from being a target for some of this illicit activity. So what I want to do, I'm going to try to share my screen. I got to drop this back down here. Let's see here. Share that screen there. Now, can people see this screen up here, I guess? All right, we are inside a customer's computer. Inside this computer, this is a person that's using Spectrum as their provider. And like a lot of us use our local internet service provider, and if I hit CMD, which means I'm going to go into the command prompt, and now I'm going to look inside the modem. If I put IP config, what you will see is a bunch of temporary addresses pop up here, populate, okay? These temporary addresses are unsecured accesses to the internet that tracking cookies and other things put into your system to open up a gateway. So when you go to the internet to do Walmart shopping or whatever you're going to do, you say, what is my IP address? I'll just refresh the screen. And you see this long number populate, MAC address, 6316. And if I look over here, 6316, see this right here, they're using the same temporary address. So all my information is being redirected through that temporary address. And we do not know who put this temporary address inside this modem. We have no idea, but whoever's done it is now getting access to all your information, from your passwords to everything you're doing. And they are creating a digital profile of you that they can use for whatever purposes they want to do. And the simple thing you do to prevent this situation from happening, all you really have to do is put a router in. Once you put a router in, you will now redirect your traffic back through the proper gateway in which you intended to be ran through. And for our purposes, we also suggest that you get a VPN. A VPN, which is a virtual private network, will secure all of that. It will encrypt all of that. So you will, all your information is not being hidden. So here's a customer that is happy to use one of our services. So now if I go here and connect on her VPN, it's going to disconnect here for a minute. Let's give it a minute for it to reconnect. Switching off her Bright House network or her Spectrum network. Hopefully one day, soon. All right, so now it's connected to PrivaNet. So now, if we go back into, we close this out and we go back and look at that configuration CMD, we look at how her information being routed. You see there's no temporary address. Everything is secure through a firewall and protected, so information is there. Now what the VPN gives is additional security. So if I now go back on the internet and I type in, what is my IP address, refresh the screen, you see it changes the IP address, it masks its identity and the location of that IP address. All right, so not to get too long-winded, I want to open the floor up for questions on the next slide that we want to do, so we can get, because last time we ran out of time. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to cover specifically, I'm here to answer all questions. Could y'all hear me?
Yes.
A
lot of people are still muted, on mute, but
I'm like, look, I didn't do all that. I'm like, I don't know what he was saying, but it sounded good. I don't know. But is there any questions anybody has? Anything anybody wants to answer?
I feel like I consumed all the time last time. So I do have one question. So to clear this, we have to install a router to make sure that we are, there's nothing that we can do when we go into IP config to erase all of that. Okay. So another question, how about the cookies? You know, we're always asked to accept cookies. Is there a way to clear that? That's a good idea or not?
Different software programs give you the ability to clear what they call innate cookies that, you know, yeah, you're always asked to accept cookies because they want to track everything you do and for marketing purposes and all that. But I suggest getting a good software package that concentrates just on cookies. Try not to get a free program because a free program typically take the information that's and they're tracking it and sell them to someone else. But yes, you know, get a service or a program that gets rid of your cookies. I mean, it's
sorry.
No, it's a village that you're going to have a village of solutions to make this thing, you know, keep you safe from behind using the internet and using the web.
Now, do you offer this service or do we just go online and buy the service?
Oh, no. PrivaNet's a full one-stop shop. We have the monitoring service called the Guardian Support, and Guardian Support will not only do they monitor the transactions of your computer as far as nefarious things coming in that you did not accept in it, they remove them also at no additional charges. So they're constantly removing and taking things out, keep your system from being tracked. And if you go further to get their VPN service, it encrypts all your data information and keeps no logs. So not even us know where you've been and what you've been doing. So we can't be accused of selling your information down the road.
Is there a basic package cost-wise that you can give us an approximate cost for this? Is it a monthly service?
It's a subscription service, and if you just decided you want to do a VPN service, it runs you about $10 a month. Okay. You know, that's and you get $5 of those dollars back if you tell Spectrum, I no longer want your Wi-Fi service. You know what I mean? So, you know, it adds about $5 a month for this protection.
We're getting rid of Spectrum and we're going with, so it's a different carrier.
No, you're not going to get rid of Spectrum. Spectrum has their service coming into your home where you get your internet. But they also have an additional charge that you probably don't notice on your bill of $5 to make that internet signal wireless. Okay. Well, you're going to get rid of the wireless portion of that particular signal. And that's going to save you $5.
Awesome. Okay.
And then the monitoring and security Guardian support team is only $20 a month, and they take care of all your virus and your computer health. So a total about $25 to $29 a month keeps you clean.
Okay, can I ask one more question? Then I'll just mute myself.
You can talk all day this morning. I cut real early. You was last time. See how far I cut back, way back.
I think we're just going to set up a launch with Troy and Deborah, and then that we'll take care of that.
You know, come hang with me.
I recently just decided to go use DuckDuckGo as opposed to Google. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, again, no. I mean, they are all, some protection is better than none. I mean, the key, what makes what I suggest, and it's just not us who provide the service, other people, is that software only protects a single solitary unit, you know, cell phone, or and they only give it to 5 users. A router protects everything, television, printer, everything that's things that don't have a computer interface. Echo, because, you know, Amazon just knows everything. I swear to God, they read my mind, right? But, you know, Echo, they protect your whole network infrastructure. You know, it's ironically, we were talking in the kitchen and my son said something to me. Next thing you know, it showed up on my phone. Like, how do you know the boy he was there, the Sony 5, like, you're not getting the PlayStation 5, but they knew, so they put it in my phone and showed me the deal on Sony PlayStation 5. Then I looked and said, why is Echo not on PrivaNet? Because you guys, we getting everything. Well, I changed it, Dad. He knows more about computers than me. I digress. I'm sorry. But yes, that's what the benefit of router is. So DuckDuckGo provides a software solution.
Okay.
I recommend you getting a hardware solution that covers everything.
Got it. Okay. I'm going to mute myself.
You're fine, so Deborah.
Good. Yes, Deborah.
Troy, you raised an interesting point, and we've had conversations here and I'm sure in your own families too, but is there truth to that? Because I swear there have been conversations that I've had that I've not searched in any kind of search engine, and then all of a sudden I'm starting to see ads for whatever product it is I was just talking with my coworker about.
Yes, that is the most true statement. They're not only just in your Echo and your listening devices, they're in your televisions, they're in your cell phones, they're in all those things can be reverse fed into a listening device. And that information is being used to sold to advertisers to get it right in front of your face so you can make a purchasing decision right away. And that's just the supposed ethical things they're doing. The unethical things, they're creating digital and financial profiles for you and represent themselves as those financial institutions coming in, calling you and preying on, especially the baby boomers and the seniors of our community, preying on those people. You got $200 in this account, we can move it to this account. And they, well, you must be the bank because you know this, and then they move their money. And I deal with that day in and day out, every day, helping people get their money back. Up to tune. The last recent one was $36,000, and you just saw that person's computer, and we had to put this system in place so they can protect themselves. They did get their money. Well, they haven't got it back yet, but the thieves hadn't got it. The bank is in the process of reversing their situation now. But that's how vulnerable people are,
That's crazy. Yeah, and it's kind of scary. Katie and I were talking this morning about, we both watched the Social Dilemma. Is that what it's called? That film? Oh my gosh, that scared. Yeah, when my husband watched that, he immediately signed off YouTube. He signed out of. He's literally closed his Facebook accounts down. He's like, oh no, and I'm like, well, we'll see how long that lasts. But it is. And I think the more. I always think it's a little bit like putting a burglar alarm on your house. If somebody was still determined to get into your home, they could still do it. But the idea is, if I make it more difficult to get into my house, they might move on and do bad things somewhere else.
Don't make it easy for them. They're not going to. There's so many people who are not protected that they're not going to spend the time breaking into your home if there's alarms. A lot of people know alarm systems, but that's the whole point. It's a deterrent. And it's a very cost-effective deterrent. I mean, $5 really deters the people away because, routers have different prices. They range anywhere from $99 to $100, $200, but that's the only initial upfront cost. But the subscription services vary for all these people. Like she has, the goal is only like $10 a month, and why not spend that to protect your privacy? And here's another thing that you guys may not be aware of. When you purchase a new laptop, like there's going to be a lot of laptops purchased this year, and HP is probably one of the top manufacturers that have a laptop, but they're not by themselves. They already build in tracking cookies and spyware inside the computer system when you first buy it. And that is not detectable by the virus protection they give you. If you also buy it in recent HP, you'll see ExpressVPN already on your system, because they're trying to also tell you that protection is important. So those are two caveats that you may want to think about how the climate is changing. And you need to really take your own initiative to educate yourself and to protect yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be a victim. And I'm telling you, that it's running rampant. It's crazy. It's like catching fish in a barrel. They're just pulling out fraud all over the place. And it's not that difficult. Imagine you open up your Gmail account or your Yahoo account, and your travel information from your vacation gets there, your email, your tickets, your online tickets to buy. Well, you just told everybody who has access to your computer that you're leaving for a trip, where you're going and what time you're going to be gone. And if your house is unprotected, and I can show you where we can locate your home right by that IP address. I can know you right down to your address, to your home residence. Give me a picture of it. So
now, are these the same principles? I know we were going to talk particularly about online shopping today, and I want to make sure we've covered. Are these the same principles when we're online shopping too, to make sure that, when we're using our credit cards, and because, I'm the queen of online shopping. So
you definitely want, if you're going to be online shopping, you need some kind of router at minimum and VPN at best. because you have to put your information behind that firewall.
Right.
If you don't, you just basically say, here's my credit card number, use it as you see fit. You know.
And so you guys work with corporate structures as well as homes and individual residences, correct? I'm right in saying that, yeah?
Correct. Businesses are typically equipped to deal with that. Businesses have been equipped to deal with the threat of cybersecurity a little bit better than consumers has. And they really have, even though businesses are being constantly challenged for better and better security, you as a consumer are wide open. And so what lately we're doing with businesses is we've been securing their credit card terminals. So the card that gets swiped through how that connects to the internet, we've been securing those lines to make sure that information is being encrypted all the way up, because some businesses are not invested in the high-end security of protecting your data in your credit card machines or your gas station machine. And so this is what we're trying to protect the data and getting it to where it's supposed to go and not to the people who are not supposed to have it.
Right.
But you have to, you got to do it at home. You have to do it at home.
Well, yeah, because that's where, a lot of us are working now and a lot of us are shopping there. And, with more and more retailers selling online, even our local retailers, that's becoming more and more prevalent. I know I want to make sure everybody's questions are answered because I want to be mindful of everybody's time. I know that Maulissa and I were talking before y'all got on and we're like, it's the last week we're going to get anybody's attention before the holiday. So we know that. We know that y'all are busy and you're trying to push through this week. And I appreciate you joining us. So please, if anybody's got any other questions, just jump in here. Robert, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, a couple of questions for you. Pretty basic, I think. First is, in this day and time, if you have that router in place at your house like that, should you be scared of putting your credit card number in on a site, whether it's Amazon site or some other company that you're going to buy product from? And secondly, how do you feel about the credit bureau monitoring products that are out there? I have one in place that, gives me a notice at the end of each month that there were no changes, but waste of time and money or worth the effort?
To do with your first question, yes, you should be very, scared may be too of a dramatic word for it, but that should be conscious that the fact that not every site is like Amazon. Amazon may spend a lot of money firewiring their protection to go when you log into their system to protect their consumers because they have enough money to do that, right? But some of these other smaller companies may not invest in that. So you purchase something online, Fashionista or Nova or whoever. I'm not just throwing an example. I don't know what security they have, so don't sue me, Fashion Nova. I'm just saying somebody who may not be as well equipped to protect their consumers. You need to protect yourself, and that's the first thing. So yes, I don't think scared, but you should be conscious that this person or this site may not be as protected as I think. And remember, they're only protecting they're only protecting sometimes behind the firewall. They're not protecting, and they're protecting their end. They're not protecting your end. So the logging in of your information, the initial you put your password in, is being seen by whomever. And they may, from that on, they may take over the protection like your bank would do or something like that, but not getting into the situation. Okay, so once they get their username and password, they can go to another computer in Starbucks and log into your account and see what you purchased, what time your packages are going to show up, so I can get them off your porch before you do, that kind of thing. If it's something worth they want to take, that's the number one thing. Second question is that credit bureaus and other agencies have become marketing firms now. They really are getting you to use their service so they can take that information and keep everyone out, and then they can sell it. So, that's where the new money is. The money is in information trade, right? And so they're just like everybody else. So yes, it's great to have a monitoring service. I think Norton partnered with LifeLock or something like that to create a protection. But you do your research on that, they're selling information too. So, it becomes the catch-22. I don't trust third parties nor do I trust trusting institutions as big as Norton or as big as Amazon to have my best interests involved. I just don't. I just feel I could put a $100, $200 router in my home and turn on PrivaNet or turn on another service like PrivaNet, and then now whatever they do, I'm protected from. And it's just, I don't have to worry about them so much. If I can, for $5, I can take care of it, you know. So.
Makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you make a good point. These guys didn't become billionaires by looking after our best interests. That's for sure.
They don't, yeah. And they don't plan on giving that money back anytime soon.
No, I get you.
$1 billion is not enough. I need more. You know, that's how they look at it. So.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Troy, Catherine, and then Dina.
I kind of tuned in right when you were talking about the router, but is the router the same thing that Bright House uses, or is that another router you put on?
You want to use a different router. You want to use a different router than what Spectrum is, and turn off the routing service of Spectrum, not the internet service, but the routing service of Spectrum.
I tuned in right around that time. All right.
Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah.
Dina?
Good afternoon. Thank you all. Maulissa and Troy, I wanted to ask, what do you all have on your personal computers at home?
I have a PrivaNet. You know, you log into my home and it broadcasts as PrivaNet, and I use Intercept service, which is provided by Guardian Support, which basically they monitor all the computers in my home and remove anything that is not part of a desired configuration of myself. That costs me about $29 a month.
I have the same, and the reason I have the same as of about, I think 2 years ago, is I was very naive to all of the stuff that was like threatening or anything like that, and have a home office. So I run my business out of my home office, and I had a client's information that was compromised, an invoice, in fact, and it was the scheme that I've never even heard of before, and it looked legitimate. It was 100%, and I had to do so many different things. I thought QuickBooks was compromised. I thought it was this or it was that. No, it was the client's email that was actually compromised. But then I had to escalate this further and say, okay, what is my exposure as a business owner if it was, in fact, on my end, the breach had occurred on my end? So that's why I got involved with PrivaNet as much as I have, is because I was so naive in thinking that Spectrum and their router, they're going to protect me. And I realized very quickly that was not the case. So I got the full suite of all the protection, that PrivaNet, the Guard, and Intercept, like all of it. And I get a report every 2 weeks that shows any sort of trace activity that's been on my computer and the removal of it as well. So I can rest assured, even legally speaking, if there was a compromise on my end, I did more than just the average person would do to show that I was taking sensitive information very seriously. So I have the full suite of PrivaNet.
That's cool. That was a good question. Okay. Did we answer everybody's questions? I think we did. We got everybody. I so appreciate you all joining us. And I want to say, you know, a massive thank you to Maulissa and to Troy from PrivaNet. This is always fascinating, and I'm going to keep hosting. Hopefully they're going to keep talking for the next over the next 12 months. There's lots of things that we can cover in these quick fire rounds. So I really appreciate you all. Robert, as chair of our board of directors here at the Chamber, did you want to say the last holiday goodbye?
Well, certainly. Thanks for the opportunity, Amanda, Joe, and I echo thank you all for being on. Thank you for our host of it. What's going on in the internet world is going to be more and more important as time goes by, especially as much time as we're all spending at home and working from home. But let me take this opportunity to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you. I hope you have a safe and healthy, COVID-free holidays and make some wonderful memories with your family and friends.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.